15 Golden Age stars who were shockingly cheap. Hollywood's Golden Age conjures images of unimaginable opulence, palatial mansions, custom Rolls Royces, and champagne flowing like water. These glamorous fantasies helped audiences escape the harsh realities of the Great Depression and World War II rationing. But behind the glittering facade lurked a surprising truth. Many of the era's biggest stars were pathologically cheap, pinching pennies with an intensity that shocked even their wealthy peers and closest friends. These weren't just financially cautious people, revealed a former studio accountant who handled several major stars. Stars who commanded $100,000 per picture would argue over a 25-cent discrepancy in their household accounts or refuse to replace worn-out clothing despite having millions in the bank. The contrast between public image and private penny pinching was often staggering. The same stars who appeared in magazine spreads wearing designer clothes were behind closed doors, patching old underwear, reusing tea bags, and turning down thermostats to save on heating bills. The studios actively concealed these behaviors, noted a Hollywood historian. Extreme frugality didn't fit the aspirational fantasies they were selling. Publicists crafted stories about lavish lifestyles, while these same celebrities were at home counting pennies and serving watered-down drinks to guests. Most revealing was how these habits persisted even after stars had amassed fortunes that could sustain luxury for generations. Some of Hollywood's wealthiest performers lived like they were one paycheck from bankruptcy, suggesting psychological motivations far deeper than prudent financial planning. In the following minutes, we'll explore 15 beloved stars whose shocking cheapness would have stunned the audiences who watched them portray glamorous, carefree characters. From actors who charged guests for snacks to divas who sent assistants to return half-used items for refunds, these cases go far beyond sensible thrift into truly bizarre territory. But first, we need to understand how America's beloved Christmas crooner created a home so cold with penny pinching that his own children felt the chill all year round.
A responsibility for you?
Yes, it is a responsibility because I do appreciate the...
1. Bing Crosby, the ice-cold crooner. Bing Crosby paid his sons just $5 a week in allowance despite being one of the highest-paid entertainers alive. When one son asked for a raise, Crosby reportedly told him to learn the value of $1, while himself earning roughly $3 million annually, equivalent to $30 million today. The man whose voice warmed America each Christmas refused to turn on the heat in his own home. His children recalled shivering through winters in their California mansion while their father, worth tens of millions, insisted everyone simply wear more sweaters. He sang about a white Christmas, but didn't want to pay to heat it, observed a family friend who witnessed the disparity between Crosby's public warmth and private coldness. His extreme thrift stemmed from an almost pathological fear of returning to the modest circumstances of his youth, a fear that no amount of subsequent wealth could erase.
During rehearsal, how long have you been in show business?
2 years.
2 years. Guys, that's...
2. Jack Benny, when real life outperformed the joke. Unlike other miserly celebrities, Jack Benny turned his actual cheapness into his comedic persona. But reality often exceeded the joke. Benny once made a guest bring their own towel to use his swimming pool. This wasn't during leaner times. This was when Benny was among the highest-paid entertainers in America, with a Beverly Hills mansion and full staff. He simply didn't want to pay for the laundry. At parties in his luxurious home, Benny would literally charge guests for snacks and drinks. A famous producer recalled receiving an itemized bill for $2.17 after enjoying what he thought was casual hospitality at the comedian's house. He made millions and still charged friends for snacks, said his longtime writer, who witnessed countless incidents of Benny's legendary thrift. Why so tight with money? Benny's childhood as the son of struggling Jewish immigrants instilled a fear of poverty that his extraordinary success never erased.
The Eiffel Tower.
Good heavens, is that thing lost again? Oh, are you interested?
3. Greta Garbo, the invisible penny pincher. Hollywood's most mysterious star lived in stark contrast to her glamorous image once she left the spotlight. Though worth over $55 million, in today's dollars, at her death, Garbo was regularly seen walking Manhattan streets in decades-old clothes. She famously refused to take taxis, even in terrible weather, preferring to walk miles in the rain rather than spend $1 on transportation. A restaurant owner recalled her meticulously counting out exact change for meals and never leaving a tip, despite being one of MGM's highest-paid stars. When a cab driver once recognized her and expressed excitement, she reportedly exited the vehicle without paying. She hated attention and spending, observed her nephew, who witnessed her extreme frugality firsthand. This remarkable thrift wasn't about financial insecurity, but seemed to reflect a philosophical rejection of materialism that matched her rejection of fame itself.
It isn't worth the fighting for, so I tell the...
4. Marlene Dietrich, the discount diva. Hollywood's ultimate glamour icon created her legendary image with smoke, mirrors, and other people's clothes. Behind her sophisticated facade, Dietrich meticulously patched her own lingerie and underwear rather than buying replacements. A maid once discovered the star, worth millions, carefully mending tears in her stockings and undergarments that most celebrities would have discarded without thought. At parties in her home, Dietrich famously watered down expensive wine and liquor bottles, pouring premium brands into decanters after diluting them to stretch her supply. Guests sometimes noticed their champagne lacked the expected punch. Her glam was borrowed, her thrift was real, said a former assistant who witnessed the stark contrast between Dietrich's public extravagance and private penny pinching. Growing up amid the catastrophic inflation of post-World War I Germany, where money could become worthless overnight, created habits that Hollywood wealth couldn't erase.
Case. Why, because he didn't file a claim? Maybe he just didn't have time.
Maybe he just didn't know that he was in
5. Fred MacMurray, the millionaire in threadbare flannel. Hollywood's ultimate wealthy everyman took his regular guy image to financial extremes few fans could imagine. Despite becoming one of TV's highest-paid actors on My Three Sons and amassing a fortune worth over $100 million, MacMurray drove the same unimpressive car for over 20 years. When studio executives offered to have a more impressive vehicle waiting when photographers were present, he refused the charade. Cast members were shocked when MacMurray would arrive on set wearing shirts and flannel so worn that costumers would beg to replace them. He would refuse, insisting his personal clothes were broken in just right, despite visible fraying and patches. He wore the same flannel until it fell apart, recalled a costumer who worked with him for years. We'd hide new shirts in his dressing room, and he'd return them, tags still attached. Unlike stars who grew up poor, MacMurray's thrift seemed to reflect a genuine indifference to status symbols. But his penny pinching extended to everyone around him.
Doing quite so well as they were formerly.
Oh, I don't know. You know, Rosanna Brazzi was in this film, and he's done...
6. Joan Crawford, household dictator. The actress, infamous for her no-wire hangers rage, practiced a cheapness that terrorized her household staff as much as her children. Crawford meticulously tracked her staff's consumption of household food, deducting for any unauthorized eating from their already modest paychecks. Maids reported having to account for every cracker or piece of fruit they ate during their shifts. Her employees dreaded payday, as Crawford routinely forgot to pay them or claimed mysterious deductions for perceived infractions. One housekeeper recalled waiting 3 weeks for wages, while Crawford claimed she needed to review the accounts. Wire hangers? Try wire wallets, observed a former household employee. She'd scream about a missing quarter from the grocery money, but spend thousands on publicity photos. Crawford's obsession stemmed from her impoverished childhood as an abused cleaning girl, creating control mechanisms that wealth couldn't dissolve.
Well, you can name any number of characters and probably say I look like somebody I...
7. Paul Muni, the methodical miser. One of Hollywood's most respected dramatic actors tracked every penny with disturbing precision. Muni carried a small notebook everywhere, recording every single purchase, no matter how trivial. Colleagues watched in astonishment as the Oscar winner would pause during a meal to note the cost of a 15-cent cup of coffee in his ledger. In a notorious incident that became Hollywood legend, Muni once walked 12 blocks in pouring rain rather than spend 30 cents on a bus fare, despite having just received a $50,000 paycheck, roughly $900,000 today, that same day. Even his friends said he made miserly look stylish, reported a Warner Brothers colleague. He'd calculate the tip to the penny while wearing a perfect suit that cost more than a car. As the son of poor Jewish immigrants who had fled anti-Semitic violence in Europe, Muni's relationship with money reflected both cultural trauma and personal anxiety.
During office hours.
Yes.
Put a fresh bottle of water on that cooler, please.
Yes.
8. Cary Grant, dashing cheapskate. Hollywood's most elegant leading man cultivated an image of sophisticated wealth that contradicted his notorious penny-pinching ways. While filming on location, Grant, one of Hollywood's wealthiest actors, would share hotel rooms with much younger, less successful actors to split costs. A co-star recalled Grant suggesting they take turns sleeping on the floor to save money, despite the film earning him $300,000, about $3 million today. The epitome of sartorial perfection on screen, Grant would wear the same suits for years, having them meticulously repaired rather than replaced. His reluctance to update his wardrobe became so extreme that studio wardrobe departments sometimes secretly replaced worn items during filming. He looked rich, but lived like a coupon clipper, revealed a longtime friend. He'd spend 20 minutes arguing over a 50-cent overcharge at restaurants where he was recognized by every diner. Born Archibald Leach in extreme poverty in Bristol, England, Grant's early deprivation created financial fears his subsequent millions couldn't dissolve.
The combination cigar lighter and matchbox. The matches were very good.
9. W.C. Fields, paranoid with cash. Comedy's famous misanthrope took his distrust of humanity to bizarre financial extremes. Fields was known to count every coin in his change, even when severely intoxicated. Bartenders recalled him questioning bill totals and counting change while so drunk he could barely stand, suggesting his suspicion ran even deeper than his legendary alcohol consumption. His distrust of banks led to Fields stashing money in hiding places around film sets, hotel rooms, and his home, so many that he frequently forgot where he'd hidden thousands of dollars. After his death, over $50,000 in cash, $700,000 today, was discovered in odd locations throughout his properties. Booze wasn't cheap, but everything else better be, said his longtime assistant. He'd spend $100 on whiskey, then refuse to pay a quarter for a newspaper. Fields' childhood in crushing poverty, followed by years as a struggling juggler, created a financial paranoia that manifested in both his comedy and his deeply suspicious approach to money.
Really, at the first we didn't have one at all, you know. We were working when we were married and didn't get away.
10. Barbara Stanwyck, reused Christmas cards and recycled gifts. One of Hollywood's highest-paid actresses practiced a level of thrift that embarrassed her wealthy friends. Stanwyck saved Christmas cards she received, carefully cut off the signatures, and sent them to others the following year. Recipients sometimes recognized their own cards coming back to them with Stanwyck's name freshly signed. Her gift-giving became legendary for its frugality. A fellow actress recalled receiving a scarf from Stanwyck for Christmas, only to learn it had been given to Stanwyck by another star the previous year, with the original gift tag still accidentally attached. She gave powerhouse performances and clearance-level gifts, noted a longtime friend. She'd splurge on nothing except her work clothes, and even those she'd wear until they fell apart. Orphaned at 4 and raised in foster homes, Stanwyck's early years of genuine deprivation created patterns of extreme thrift that her subsequent success never erased.
Oh, yeah. He's got a better job than you. He only works 2 hours a week.
11. Bob Hope, the tightwad entertainer. America's beloved entertainer accumulated one of Hollywood's greatest fortunes while maintaining shockingly stingy habits. Hope once sent back a sandwich at a restaurant when he discovered the price had increased by 15 cents since his last visit. The manager, recognizing the multi-millionaire comedian, offered it free to avoid a scene, but Hope insisted on the original price, arguing for over 10 minutes as diners watched in disbelief. Staff on Hope's USO tours reported he would collect complimentary toiletries from first-class airline lounges and hotel rooms, hoarding soap, shampoo, and even shower caps despite traveling with a net worth exceeding $150 million. He'd fly first class and haggle over peanuts, recalled a travel coordinator who worked on his tours. He'd demand free upgrades while nickel and diming everyone around him. Hope's immigrant background and childhood brush with poverty created financial anxiety that his eventual status as one of America's wealthiest entertainers never resolved.
I like it better.
12. Clark Gable, Hollywood's King of Cheap. The man known as the King of Hollywood ruled his kingdom with a surprisingly miserly hand. Gable forced studio accountants to handle his personal grocery shopping because he believed store clerks would overcharge him if they recognized him. MGM executives complained about their highest-paid star having assistants buy his milk and bread to save pennies. In a particularly shocking display of cheapness, Gable reportedly re-wore socks and underwear multiple days to avoid laundry expenses. A valet who worked for him briefly claimed the star had a system for rotating underwear to get maximum use before washing. He was Rhett Butler, but his wallet frankly didn't give a damn, quipped a studio colleague who witnessed Gable's extreme frugality firsthand. Growing up in poverty with a struggling oil well worker father, Gable developed financial habits that his later status as Hollywood's biggest star couldn't change.
She will walk on the set with a yellow pad and a pencil, and there will be one line of...
13. Bette Davis, the refund queen. Hollywood's most celebrated dramatic actress created drama in retail stores with her notorious return habits. Davis regularly sent unpaid interns and assistants to return partially used cosmetics and clothing items for full refunds. Store managers, recognizing returns from the famous actress, would reluctantly process refunds for items clearly worn or used rather than risk confrontation. At the height of her fame and wealth, Davis bragged about never paying full price for anything. She would wait for sales, use expired coupons, and argue with cashiers over small discounts with an intensity that matched her most dramatic screen performances. She could destroy someone on set, but refused to destroy her bank balance, recalled a makeup artist who witnessed both her professional perfectionism and private penny pinching. The child of a single mother who struggled financially after being abandoned by her husband, Davis developed financial habits reflecting a deep-seated fear of returning to poverty.
They love each other. They're like father and son. And in Liberty...
14. James Stewart, America's frugal friend. The star, known for playing the quintessential decent American, maintained tight-fisted financial habits that conflicted with his generous screen image. Despite accumulating tremendous wealth from his film career and savvy investments, Stewart lived in the same modest home for over 40 years, refusing upgrades or renovations that neighbors with a fraction of his wealth routinely made. Stewart insisted on buying clothes, furniture, and even gifts secondhand. A co-star recalled Stewart arriving at a director's birthday celebration with a used book still containing another person's inscription, which he had failed to notice when purchasing it from a thrift store. He played America's sweetheart, but his money never left the bank, said a longtime colleague. He'd wear shoes with holes rather than buy new ones, despite being worth millions. Growing up during the Depression in a small Pennsylvania town, with his father's struggling hardware store constantly on the edge of failure, created financial caution that his subsequent Hollywood success never diminished.
Yes, I think I say this without any false modesty.
15. Charlie Chaplin, the tramp with a fortune. Cinema's beloved Little Tramp accumulated one of Hollywood's greatest fortunes while maintaining the financial habits of his impoverished character. Despite becoming one of the wealthiest men in entertainment through groundbreaking contracts that gave him ownership of his films, Chaplin lived in a surprisingly modest home and wore the same ordinary clothes until they were threadbare. Chaplin developed a reputation for what industry insiders called intellectual dining and dashing. He would invite colleagues to restaurants for meetings, dominate the conversation with brilliant observations, then conveniently disappear just before the check arrived. The tramp made millions and acted like he had nothing, observed a film financier who dealt with Chaplin's complex financial arrangements. Having experienced extreme childhood poverty in London workhouses after his father's death and mother's mental illness, Chaplin developed a relationship with money marked by both extreme accumulation and surprising personal frugality. These 15 Hollywood legends reveal a fascinating contradiction. While selling glamour, luxury, and abundance on screen, many stars privately pinched pennies with shocking intensity. This disconnect between public image and private behavior offers a window into both the psychological impact of early financial trauma and the elaborate illusions of Hollywood itself. Many of these stars experienced genuine poverty or witnessed the Depression's devastation firsthand, observed a cultural historian. This created a generation for whom financial security could never be taken for granted, regardless of their current wealth or success. For some, like Jack Benny, cheapness became part of their public persona. For others, like Greta Garbo or Barbara Stanwyck, extreme frugality remained intensely private, hidden aspects that might have contradicted carefully constructed images had they become widely known. These cases expose the gap between Hollywood fantasy and human reality, noted a psychologist. We assume wealth automatically changes one's relationship with money, that abundance naturally leads to spending. What these stars demonstrate is that money habits reflect core psychological patterns that often persist regardless of bank balances. Perhaps most revealing is how these penny-pinching behaviors existed alongside tremendous professional generosity or artistic excellence. Cary Grant might argue over pennies on a lunch check while giving performances of extraordinary elegance. Bette Davis might return half-used cosmetics while delivering cinema's most powerful dramatic moments. The extreme thrift of these Golden Age stars ultimately tells us something important about fame itself, concluded an analyst. The glamorous figures we saw on screen were carefully constructed illusions that often had little connection to the complicated, sometimes contradictory individuals behind them. Their shocking cheapness reminds us that achieving wealth or celebrity doesn't fundamentally change who we are, or heal the financial traumas that shaped us. For modern fans discovering these legends through their films, these glimpses of extraordinary frugality add new dimensions to familiar images, revealing that even in Hollywood's golden age, all that glittered was not gold, and some of it was just very cleverly polished brass.